Hello folks, and it's Abfielder here, and today I'm going to give you some hints and tips on building your first perimeter. Now you may have seen that in my Let's Play series that I have been doing this very thing, and it's the first perimeter that I have built around a mob farm, and it's taken me the best part of 2 weeks, but there's a bunch of stuff that had I known it up front, it would have made this process a whole lot quicker. And that's what I wanted to talk to you about. How we turn this, that's on the screen currently, into this and do it quickly. Now, before I jump into that, I just wanted to quickly talk about what a perimeter is. Now, odds are that most of you who find this video will know what one is, but for those that you don't, a perimeter is a way of making your mob farm more efficient. It's a way of removing all the spawnable spots for mobs around your farm. So the only place they can spawn is inside your farm. Makes it super efficient. And there's two ways you can do it. One is to light up all the surrounding area with torches, lamps, whatever. The other way, and probably the better way, the way that you'll see all the technical Minecraft players do, is to blow up every single block all the way down to bedrock. The reason for this is it allows you to take advantage of the spawn mechanics. Stuff spawns faster the lower down in the world that you can place it. So this is about this second method, how to blow up a perimeter all the way down to bedrock around your farm and do it quickly. And just to add that this is all based on using the machine by RaiseWorks, which I will link down in the description. If you want to use the Ilmango World Eater design, some of these tips won't make any sense. They won't actually help you. But yeah, this is for using the RaiseWorks design, which is a machine which is a lot simpler to build than the Ilmango one. But yeah, there's some considerations that you need to get your head around. And that's what we're going to do in this video. So tip number one is the biome. Choose your biome carefully, okay? I decided on a snowy tundra biome, and my reasons for doing this were I figured the water sources would be frozen, lack of trees, fairly level. So yeah, in my head I thought, good choice. Net result for this is maybe not a great choice. The snow is a bit of a pain, as you can see, so there's literally no point me kind of decorating this and put a floor on it because it's just going to get covered in snow. It also makes it hard to see if there's any blocks that you need to remove manually. So yeah, although the water is frozen, also the water being frozen is an interesting one because if your farm relies on water, you're going to have to cover it up. Not too much of a problem for me, but yeah, just think about that kind of stuff. So what I would recommend is maybe desert or plains. Basically just spend a lot of time looking around, trying to find a fairly flat, dry spot. The less water, the flatter it is, the more time you're probably going to save when it comes to blowing this up. The other thing I would recommend is for when choosing your area, have a look at tricks for x-rays, essentially, for looking under the ground at caves. I know they're a little bit frowned upon, but if you stand in a composter, stick a piston above you, it'll knock you down and you can have a look at the caves in the area, have a look at the lava lakes. The less lava lakes, and trust me, this is the biggest time saver, the less lava you have to clear up, the better. So honestly, tip number one, choose a really good area for your farm. I appreciate you can't always do that, but for like witch farms and stuff, but if it's not a witch farm, yeah, spend some time, choose a really good area, you're going to save so much time. So tip number two is to prepare the area. So before you even start the machine off, remove any water sources that you can find and any lava. Particularly above ground. If you can't do all the stuff below ground, which is entirely possible, it's probably best not to, then you're going to have to try and do it as you go along. Now I'm just going to share with you an image of what happens when you don't remove the water sources as the machine's in progress. And as you can see, there's a significant area that I'm going to have to redo the TNT Duper over once I've removed those sources. So where possible, just keep an eye on the machine, and that's tip number three. Keep an eye on it. I know you're going to be AFKing, but you really will help if you can remove those water and lava sources as you go. And quite often, particularly the water sources and the lava at that height, they're not that big. They only take a couple of minutes to remove. So yeah, try and remove them. It'll save you less TNT duping later on. Okay. So tip number four, make sure you fully understand how the TNT Duper machine works. Try building it in a creative world first, or, you know, watch the full tutorial video from RaiseWorks. So I didn't actually know that the machine went up and down in a row, and then once it got back to the starting point, it moved one block to the left, depending on your viewpoint. So I kind of built it in the middle of where my perimeter was going to be. So my first run of this machine actually only did half of what it needed to. So yeah, make sure you know how it works. So yeah, that'll save you a bunch of time. Okay, jumping on to number 5 and another one of my favourites. Make sure you build this thing high enough. Okay, now I get it if it's above around about y equals 90 or whatever, it's not going to blow down to bedrock on the first run. That's okay, actually. It doesn't matter too much. You're going to have to run it more than once anyway. Just make sure it's 10 or so blocks at least above the highest point of the land that it goes over, and that includes structures like trees and houses and stuff like that. Alright, I lost one of these machines because I only built it about 8 blocks above the highest point. So yeah, I figured it was going to happen, but it was still a pain in the backside when it did. So yeah, built this thing clear of the land and then rerun it a little bit lower. So tip number 6 then is dealing with the lava lakes, and the lava lakes that start at level 10 are, to be honest with you, the worst part of this process. It took me a long time. I wasn't sure of the best strategy for removing these lakes. I ended up using a mix of different strategies. So honestly, listen to me on this one because yeah, it's going to save you the most time. There is a second machine by Works for removing the lava. It's not perfect. You know, it's none of these machines deal with obsidian, so you're still going to have to clear the obsidian. But it will reduce the amount of manual time that you've got to spend removing lava. So the problem I had was because I used different strategies, by the time I found this machine and used the machine from Works, the area just wasn't in a good state. It didn't work that well. The second best solution for removing lava lakes, in my opinion, if you've only got a small number, it might be easier than the machine, is to use sand. Pillar up and drop sand. It drops down into the lava lake and will remove most of the lava sources. Just be a little bit careful with this one to make sure you're not standing where you're placing the block, as you will end up in lava. The next best method that I found, the third best method, was to use buckets. So have like 16 buckets on you. Use the buckets to remove the lava. Put all those 16 buckets back into one square, so you reduce 16 down into one. That will work for small lava sources, but I don't really recommend it if you've got quite a lot. The worst method, and something me and the Eagle Stream tried, was to run water over the top, turn it into obsidian and use a beacon to remove it. Under no circumstances do that. It's a terrible idea. Alright, okay, tip number 7 then is patience. Okay, it takes about 20 hours for the TNT Duper machine to go from one corner of your perimeter to the other. Okay, that's the entire thing. I don't mean one row, that's the entire thing, about 20 hours. So there's going to be a lot of AFK time. You're probably going to want to run this at least 2 times. I think I ran it 4 or 5 times because of the mistakes I made. So you need some patience, but just, like I say, follow these previous tips that I've said, and hopefully it'll be a bit quicker for you. Okay, and finally, the last tip, a really important one. If you're doing this in survival, which I assume you are, if you've got access to totems of undying, hold one at all times when you're removing this lava, alright? I use 6 of the things from falling into lava. So as I said, sometimes when you place blocks of sand, you might be standing a little bit close and you fall into the lava, and it can be very difficult to get out. So yeah, I went through 6 of them. I actually died once. The pit is dangerous. One of my fellow players, Catch, he died once, maybe twice. So another tip for this is if you are removing like water sources or lava while the TNT Duper is going, stop the machine. Alright, stop it, remove the sources, start it again. It creeps up on you and all of a sudden you're under a TNT storm. Anyway folks, with these tips I'm hoping that instead of taking 2 weeks, it'll take you like a week, and it'll be a far more pleasant experience to do your first perimeter in Minecraft. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, hit the like button. If you really enjoyed it and you want to see more of my content, please hit that subscribe button. Anyway folks, I'm Abfielder. That's the end of this video. Thank you. Goodbye.